Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Madam Zakharova. Good afternoon, colleagues. So we have two questions today. Donald Tusk stated that Ukraine has the right to attack targets associated with Russia anywhere in Europe. He made this statement shortly after a Polish court rejected Germany's request for the extradition of a Ukrainian diver accused of involvement in the bombing of the Nord Stream gas pipelines. How would you comment on such rhetoric from Warsaw and the situation surrounding the investigation of the sabotage in the gas pipelines? As for the investigation of the terrorist attack on the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 gas pipelines over the past 3 years, the German authorities have not fulfilled any of our requests for legal assistance and have rejected the initiative of Russia and a number of other countries to conduct an independent, open and objective international investigation under the auspices of the United Nations. The investigation into the circumstances of the pipeline bombing, despite the assurances of the German authorities of their intention to find the culprits, has grotesquely turned into support for the Kiev terrorist regime. And of course, the position of Poland is even more shameful. The Polish authorities demonstrate complete disregard for the norms of international law and directly express encouragement for acts of terrorism if only it harms Russia. From their point of view, you have already mentioned Tusk. He is a prime minister, after all, not an observer who can talk nonsense and bear no responsibility. He is the key figure in his country, entitled with a particular mandate and particular responsibility which it entails. He wrote on social media, I quote, "The problem with Nord Stream is not that it was blown up, but that it was built." I'm wondering, I'm just curious. And those people who die in terrorist attacks, is he going to have the same linguistic phrasing towards them? The Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sikorsky, after the decision of the District Court in Warsaw to refuse to extradite the Ukrainian Vladimir Zhuravlov, suspected of the bombing, said that he feels pride in the Polish court, which did not consider this sabotage against the invader a crime, and this is a direct quote. A very curious logic. So, we see if a grouping, a band, an organization declares, or just for itself, considers Poland to be an invader or a country that does not fit into regular norms, everything that this group will be doing on the territory of Poland will not be considered as a crime. What can we say about this, and how should we treat this? For our part, we will do everything to prevent this unprecedented terrorist act against an object of cross-border underwater civilian infrastructure from being swept under the carpet with all our resources and opportunities. My second question, if I may. You know, there is another point in this regard. Speaking about the statement made by Tusk and other Polish politicians, let alone the moral and ethical part of the question, there is a legal part of the question. This is a terrorist act. They can consider this to be nothing wrong. They can consider this to be a positive thing. This is another story. This is a different story. But indeed, in reality, there is a violation of legitimacy and the right. There used to be the facility of infrastructure. There were contractors, and all this was demolished after all. This all requires investigation. Perhaps, following the investigation, those who ordered and those who perpetrated this action, I now quote, the Polish representatives, perhaps then now the Polish government will give them an award. But let's find them first and foremost. I suggest that we should find them. We should identify the perpetrators and then give the Polish government an opportunity to honor the perpetrators, the so-called heroes. Speaking about those who ordered this terrorist attack, Biden himself said that he would do everything possible to suspend this infrastructure project from functioning. This statement was a public confirmation of his intention. We should identify those who perpetrated, who sponsored and supervised all those happening, and afterwards each and every legal entity, international organization will give corresponding assessments of those activities. Some would say that those are criminals, and Warsaw perhaps will award and honor those perpetrators. Just do not get in the way of finding these so-called Polish heroes. Let's find them first and foremost. My second question, if I may.
The mayor of the Armenian city of Gyumri, Verdan Gukasyan, detained on the 21st of October on the allegations of corruption. There is a new criminal case initiated against him, this time for statements in favor of Armenia being part of the allied state with Russia. They are regarded as calls for seizing power and overthrowing the constitutional order. How can you comment on that? I would repeat that the case of Verdan Gukasyan, our position is that it is a domestic affair of Armenia and its people, but what I cannot but share its astonishment. The privileges of cooperation with Russia, someone just regarded them as calls for overthrowing the constitutional order in the country, and it's about the accession to the European Union. And in April 2025, a law was adopted in Armenia on the start of this accession process. Maybe let them just qualify this action somehow. It's just restriction of sovereignty, and it's said directly in that law. There is no different reading of that. The accession to the European Union, they should abandon part of their sovereignty. For example, in taking foreign policy decisions, they demand their candidates, even at initial stage, just not member countries, but candidates, to sanction those who the European Union has qualified as its enemy, and so on and so forth. Of course, it's abandoning the sovereignty in the sphere of law, monetary policy, migration regime, and many, many other spheres. But for some reason, they do not mention any criminal liability, criminal cases for supporting EU aspirations. There is no such cases in Armenia, but if there is already such a practice in place, like regarding the statements of some public figures for calls for deprivation, alleged deprivation of sovereignty in Armenia, so other calls, other statements should also be considered, because we are convinced that it's just normal, it's healthy practice, cooperation with neighboring states in any democratic society. And I hope that the legislative legal bodies of Armenia will avoid politicized approach in their duties. As Verdan Gukasyan said, I have written down a quote. Armenia being within the allied state with Russia, because Armenia is a member of CSTO, other alliances with Russia, have mentioned not only problems but bonuses that the Armenian people receive. Is it normal statements or not normal? I would like to understand that as well. Thank you very much. Thank you. Is Xinhua with us? Yes, hello, Madam Zakharova. In November in Shanghai, there will be the 8th China International Import Expo. What are your expectations of the coming expo and the participation of Russia in it? What do you think about cooperation, taking into account the growth in sanctions, unilateral restrictions, and other trends in global economy? Thank you. You're talking about the 8th. Could you please repeat once again? Input Expo. Yes, I have understood. This year, despite any restrictions, these stricter measures by Washington regarding tariffs, other restrictions, sanctions, despite them, we just record the growth in trade with China because widespread export expansion. The trade turnover growth is a consequence of the Chinese production sector growth and redirection of goods to alternative export markets just give us some ground to forecast the positive trends staying. This is a key role in preserving stability worldwide. The 8th Expo is just a major trade forum. We know about the demands in China, demand for our agricultural products, high-tech equipment for Russian businessmen. Business circles, this platform will provide additional opportunities for demonstration of their achievement, expanding business links with China, looking for reliable partners, accessing international markets. So we hope that this event will succeed. Thank you very much. Is News.ru with us? Yes, we are here. We have two questions. Hungary has initiated the creation of tripartite alliance with Slovakia and the Czech Republic. It's about an attempt to protect from the US pressure because Washington is calling upon abandoning Russian hydrocarbons. Do you think this alliance has any chance to succeed? Yes. Actually, there is no legally binding, legally formed alliance. It's about possible coordination of Bratislava, Budapest, and Prague in protection of their national interests before the European bureaucracy that has become an obvious threat for the EU member countries. We actually value the pragmatic approach, and the sovereign approach is appearing on major international issues. I cannot hear. You have no sound on, I think. There is no sound. Yes, now can you hear me? Yes, perfectly. My second question. How is the process going on of the return to Russia?
Во-первых, по линии профильных ведомств двух стран ведется предметный диалог в целях скорейшего возвращения российских граждан на родину. Второй момент. Мы уже сообщали, в Россию вернулись наши журналисты, руководители информационного агентства «Спутник Азербайджан» Игорь Картавых, вернулся 19 октября, и шеф-редактор Евгений Белоусов, он вернулся 25 октября. Беспокойство, конечно, вызывает ситуация со студентом из Санкт-Петербурга Дмитрием Федоровым. Есть многочисленные сигналы о неудовлетворительном состоянии его здоровья. И я хочу подчеркнуть, что посольство России в Баку вчера повторно направило азербайджанской стороне запрос на встречу с российским гражданином и на предоставление ему квалифицированной медицинской помощи. Консульский доступ, к сожалению, пока не получен. американского председательства в 2023 году и принимать содержательные, такие действительно хорошо, глубоко проработанные документы. Поступательно развивается и проектная деятельность форума. Она неизменно направлена на решение разнообразных практических задач, которые способствуют повышению региональной связанности. И в этом смысле АТЭС действительно способен соединять. На АТЭСовской площадке плотно взаимодействуем с Китаем, с другими конструктивными партнерами, делаем ставку на углубление экономической интеграции, снятие всех необоснованных барьеров, последовательно выступаем против использования экономики как оружия, совместными усилиями препятствуем попытке отдельных западных делегаций привнести в повестку форума непрофильные политические сюжеты. И готовы, конечно, к продолжению этой работы в ходе предстоящего в 2026 году председательства КНР в форуме АТЭС и настроены на созидательное сотрудничество, взаимную поддержку практических инициатив.
Спасибо. И второй вопрос, Мария Владимировна.
Да, конечно.